What's going on, everyone? Today we're at the farm and we are doing something really fun and exciting. We are going to be planting out this berm with over 4 million wildflower seeds. Let's go. So the first question is probably, why are you planting 4 million wildflower seeds? Well, because 2 reasons. First reason, as you can see, this hill behind me contained all the fill dirt and some topsoil from where we dug the pond. That pond was a huge volume of soil being removed and it had to go somewhere. And so rather than just distribute it into like some low spots and make it just kind of boring and flat, I thought, let's add some character to the farm. Let's add some height. Let's add some interest. And not just add interest, let's plant wildflowers on it so it becomes kind of almost like a natural feature, right? This would not be naturally occurring here on the farm just based on the normal landscape. It does kind of look a little bit out of place the way that it is, but once it's filled with wildflowers, it'll really just kind of naturally fill in. So it's going to be very beautiful, in my opinion, to have wildflowers here rather than just some type of grass or have no hill at all. And then on top of that too, we do have our North American hazelnuts, and then we also have below that our pawpaws. So we're kind of calling this our native berm. And these are all native to Michigan. The pawpaws and the hazelnuts, there are native trees and shrubs, and then we're going to throw in some native wildflowers. Now, the second reason why we are doing this is because we need roots to hold the topsoil in place. Over winter, we've already lost a substantial amount of topsoil that's washed off and kind of sloughed off the hill, and we don't want to lose any more. If you don't have roots in place of some kind, roots are what holds that topsoil in place. If you don't have it, it just erodes away and washes away, like we've had some pretty substantial washouts down below here from early spring rains that we've gotten. And I just want to stop that from happening, because then it makes growing anything here almost impossible. It all just will be basically sand or clay or whatever else is just left that's dense enough to not move, but all that nice fertile soil gets washed away. So we want to hold that stuff in place, and that's why we're doing that. But now I want to talk about the flower selection that we have here, because we have quite a few wildflowers here, both annual and perennial, to give us some continuous blooms throughout the season, but then also some plants that we don't have to worry about next year that are kind of going to fill in over time and kind of take the place of those annuals and really just fill out this with a very kind of just permaculture, natural, native habitat that we don't have to really do anything, very hands-off. All right, so because this blend has so many flowers, I made a list on my phone so I don't miss any. But if you want to check out a wildflower blend, we actually have 3 different wildflower blends over at MIgardener.com. I would highly recommend checking them out. There's no fillers, so there's no junk in there, and they're just really good, pure wildflower seeds, which is awesome. Now, the ones that we have here, I did a custom blend because of just our case scenario here is a little bit unique. We have some upland, which is like the top of the berm, and then as it transitions lower, we get into some more kind of seasonally wet conditions where the soil holds water a little longer, and some of those upland flowers would probably die. But we threw the blend all together, and it'll kind of be chaos gardening or survival of the fittest. So I have here, I have some golden Alexander. I also have 2 different types of clover. I have a purple clover, and I also have a red clover. Oh, and I also have a white clover, so there's 3 in there. I also have 3 different varieties of milkweed. I have butterfly milkweed, I have common milkweed, and I also have swamp milkweed. So the swamp milkweed probably is going to thrive down here, the butterfly milkweed up higher, which is a good combination. Diversity, that's what matters. We also have Philadelphia fleabane. That just looks like those tiny little, you see them all the time in fields. You probably come across them 100 times but never really think about it. They're really, really pretty, and the pollinators absolutely love it. I also have some Canada anemone. I also have here some milkwort, goldenrod obviously, that's a big one. We have a good amount of goldenrod seed in here. I have the black-eyed Susans. I have which is also known as prairie sunflower, the purple coneflower or echinacea. I also have the Shasta daisies, those little white daisies. We also have some wild bergamot, otherwise known as bee balm. And then I have some partridge pea. I have one called prairie smoke. It looks kind of like a grass, but it's like a red wispy. It's really, really unique. I've got that. I also have something called milkwort. We just found a little bit of seed for that. Threw that in. It might be like 400 seeds. That is pretty expensive. And then I also threw in some Ohio spider root. So just some different flowers in there. And then I also have just a few maybes. I'm not sure if they'll survive or not, but I have one called nodding smartweed. It is a weed. It's, it can be quite invasive, but in a properly managed habitat, it can be really beneficial for the pollinators. It's so important. Now, again, this farm here, we're gonna keep it really well manicured, really well maintained. Part of what we're gonna talk about is cover cropping. Part of what we're gonna talk about is land management. But it is definitely our job as stewards of the land to make sure that we foster that environment. And so, yeah, there's definitely some stuff in here that's not going to be maybe the most desirable to the gardener, but to us is definitely going to be important. We also threw in here some mallow. We also threw in here, because we had some mallow on hand. That one was not part of our intended mix, but we threw some mallow. I also threw in just a few little grasses as well. We threw in some native grasses. I bought online a mix that had about 4 Michigan native grasses in there. And so I threw a little bit of those in there just for texture, right? Stuff that's gonna be around for the whole year. Doesn't have to flower. There's a few like red kind of like fescue grasses. There's, I think, like a bluegrass style. Just some cool stuff in here. And like I said, there's over 4 million seeds in here. And the objective is to just have a really well-rounded mix. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk the hill. We're simply going to broadcast the seed, and then we're going to follow up because the hill has been pretty coarsely worked. The seeds should be able to kind of fall into those nooks and crannies just fine. And then we're gonna follow up with some easy straw. Any straw would be fine. We just have that on hand to help hold the seeds in place so that they can kind of give them a good foothold so they don't just wash away or blow away. So let's go. All right, so we're just gonna start at the west side of the property, move to the east, and I'll tell you, I'm already getting a face full of seed here. So I'm basically just gonna take this seed and just chuck it because that's what would happen in nature anyways. Just gonna throw this seed around here and just broadcast. It's really a numbers game. When you're talking about broadcasting this many wildflowers, it really truly is a numbers game. I know that I would say at least probably 60 to 75% of these will not live to fruition. That's just the nature of wildflower seeds. They don't always have the highest germination rate. A lot of times birds will come in and eat them as well. So we just really want to broadcast as much as possible. And I do know as well that, on the backside here, we've already lost a lot of topsoil. I wish that this did not wash out as much as it did, but that's again why we have to get this stuff covered. Just the amount of erosion here has been astounding. It's funny too, the lighter seeds just automatically, forget about it. We're gonna have wildflowers growing through the whole orchard. That's, I guess, okay. I'm not sure what type. I think this is, I don't know, whatever that light seed is, but I believe it's the echinacea, but I'm not positive. It just blew like 50 yards that way. In fact, Hannah, you're like right in the spray zone. Like you're just getting pelted with seeds blowing at your way. I'll just throw this way. Just winding down to the very last little bit here. Kind of hard to believe we just distributed over 4 million seeds. There we go. That's all she wrote. So now what we're going to do is we're going to follow up with some straw, because without it, the seeds would obviously just blow away, or they'd wash away the next rain we got. Because we don't want that to happen, we got to cover with some straw. I just had this easy straw on hand. A lot of you write in asking what type of cover is best. Any type of cover is going to be fine. This easy straw here, it is treated with like a sticking agent so that it doesn't blow as easily. But in all honesty, this is just kind of a expensive product for what we're using it for. And we probably won't be able to cover all of it. This only covers, I think, 500 square feet. Forget about it. We've got like 4,000 here at least. So it's not gonna cover all of it. We're gonna have to come back with some more. I just had this on hand from a project we had a couple years ago. So I'm just gonna take it and loosely kind of just broadcast it along the ground here. And the amount of wind that we have is just astounding. It's just, like I said, forget about it. But it'd be better than nothing. Oh my gosh. The wind is just, it's persistent. I'll tell you guys, the wind here, we are for sure going to implement some type of wind power, because this is the most renewable energy I can think of. It's Oh, one of these days, we're gonna have kite day at the farm. I swear to you. We're gonna have kite day at the farm. Bring your kite and we'll just have a ball. My gosh. The wind is, if nothing, consistent every day. It really is just, it's just so obnoxious. Like, look at this. It doesn't, good luck getting it to fall. It's not even all that windy. It's just, there's no, oh my gosh, I hate this. I hate everything about the wind here. I mean, you can't make this up how stupid this is. It is so windy here. The only downside, everything about this farm is beautiful. It's by far the most beautiful farm I could have asked for. Minus the wind. I'm gonna have to bring some more anyways. This is barely gonna dent it. Plus 90% of it's gonna be over in our neighbor's yard a half a mile away. I mean, it's just stupid. Look at this. Just like, I mean, it makes broadcasting really easy. I don't even have to do anything. Just throw it up in the air and it carries it. Woo-wee. Be sure would be nice to have some leaves on the trees right about now. Cut down on that wind a little bit. There just is there's really no point to even put straw on this side of the hill. I mean, like, look, like, I have to walk it backwards just to get it on this side of the hill. Is this even worth it? Is this even worth, I mean, it's so windy. It is so windy. One thing I will say, and this does serve as a very valuable lesson. See what this straw is doing here on a mildly windy day? I mean, it feels, the wind here should be around 6 to 7 miles an hour today is what the weather app said. And I've confirmed with 2 different weather apps, but it feels like it's like 14, 15 miles an hour. That's because there's really very few wind breaks out here. If you're someone that's gonna come out to a farm or you're going to buy acreage, the first recommendation I would have is to restore wind breaks. I'm not putting in my nomination for like Department of the Interior, like a government position, but if I was applying for the Department of Interior, the head of Department of Interior, the very first like law that I would enact is that removing wind breaks is like absolutely illegal. It's so detrimental because not only does it make just every day so much, I mean, my gosh, the amount of wind up here is just astounding. Wind does create damage. I mean, it absolutely blows dust, which damages houses, damages cars. It absolutely messes with the landscape. I mean, the amount of topsoil that gets blown away simply on a dry day, just because you get farm fields where farmers are working the soil and the dust is blowing away. That dust contains minerals and nutrients which just get blown away, and you're just depleting nutrients by the ton, and it's just blowing into the wind. And then you have cases like we had a week ago where we get what they call mud rain. Look it up. Mud rain, just because dust just gets picked up and distributed, and then it rains and it falls. Eventually it's just gonna end up somewhere else. It's just so detrimental. I do not know where we started hating tree rows, windrows, trees in general. I don't know what type of culture started that, but let's hit the rewind button. It's so bad. I mean, it's just a straight line wind, and it should not even be that windy today. So we're just wrapping up here, as much as wrapped up can be, and it's gonna be super exciting to see this stuff come to life. I am gonna follow up. I'm gonna buy probably another 4 or 5 bales of just straw just to throw it on, and then we'll really kind of cover it because I want to get some nice coverage. This is just a dusting to get us started, but as you can tell, it's, as my grandma would say, it's like peeing on a wildfire. So if anything, it'll just kind of help cover the soil a little bit, teeny tiny little bit, and then we'll get a nice layer on top. But the whole purpose, as I said, is to increase the biodiversity here on the farm. A lot of you love those kind of permaculture aspects. You guys have been asking for permaculture type stuff, and I get that the whole apple farm thing, the whole apple orchard is a bit of a diversion from, the nice rows and stuff is a bit of a diversion from permaculture. I get it, but I'm a believer in hybrids, like a hybrid approach, right? I like heirlooms planted in a hybrid way. I like the nice neat rows. I like garden beds. I like stuff that looks aesthetically pleasing, but I also absolutely understand the merit of having permaculture components on the farm. So we are, in a small way, implementing that here to get the native wildflower population back. And one last thing I would encourage you guys to do is to do your research when planting wildflowers. Don't just go online and buy any random wildflower mix, because wildflowers are not always native in your area if you're going for natives. And sometimes if they're coming from kind of sketchy, shady online sources, sometimes there can be a lot of filler and even in some cases noxious weeds. So you really want to make sure that you do your part to cut down on invasive species, reduce weeds and noxious weeds if at all possible, and that's about it. So really, really excited. We are going to continue this kind of native series here. We're going to be putting some native bee houses here. In the next couple weeks, we're gonna get some honeybees, which are not native. I get them from Europe. But here on this native berm, we are going to put a bunch of leaf cutter houses. We're going to invite a bunch of native pollinators into the area. By bringing those in, we're gonna put some native pollinator houses all around to encourage, again, biodiversity. It's gonna be a lot of fun, a ton of fun. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope you were inspired to do something like this, even on a smaller scale where you live. Not sure what you would have learned, but if anything, hope you enjoyed. So as always, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely make sure to subscribe because we got all things farm stuff. The guy behind us, we got him to till up in between our apple rows because the very next episode after this, you're gonna see me wearing the same clothes because we're literally going to jump over. We're gonna talk all about cover crops. So if you're interested in learning about cover crops, stay tuned. That's what's coming up next. All right, take care and grow bigger. See ya. Bye.